Hello. Sorry about being late, guys. I'm producing tonight, so yeah, it might be another one of those nights. But anyways, how are you doing, gang?
Hi.
Everybody doing good?
Doing good.
Good.
Super
Excellent.
fantabulous.
Excellent.
How are you, Kyle?
It's been a crazy week, a crazy but good week.
Yeah.
I'm still exhausted from the craziness that happened last night. It's never a good idea to do flat Earth for 6 hours, and especially with the individual that we were doing it with. But yeah, it's Sunday. It's a new day.
I'm starting to think that you're on YouTube like 24 hours a day.
It feels like it. It really does. It feels like it.
Do you ever have time away from YouTube?
No, this is my life.
Don't forget Twitter.
Yeah, I am on Twitter all the time. I used to actually have a social life, but it's dwindling very slowly here. I just don't ever want to get to the point where it's like my entire world is trapped inside of YouTube. Because in case I do something stupid, like I have a 2007 Britney Spears episode where I shave my head bald and then throw umbrellas through windshields, and then if they delete my channel, I'll just have nothing left. So I have to at least hold on to some sort of normal life, I guess.
It's hard. It's hard when you're building your brand and you're building your show. I'm dealing with that right now with my column. I could stay glued to writing 24 hours a day.
Yeah, so it's fun. Like I like meeting all the people that watch and hearing from them. Well, most of them. Sometimes like today I got a really, really, really just nasty message from somebody who watches that. It was a long diatribe blessing me out about how I was unfair last night, and the whole platform is just to laugh at people who think differently than I do. It's just so bizarre. And the guy last night, he didn't know what documents were. He said that we postponed starting the actual show. It was just Godless Engineer and Southern Israelite going back and forth while we were trying to download his intro video, because he sent me the wrong one prior to the show. So while that's downloading, it's also taking Dave's bandwidth. So it's lagging in the feed that's going out. Everybody's complaining about the lag. So I've got that going on. And we do all this work for a video that's just some pictures and then him rambling over top of it. And I cut it off. I cut it short, and he threw a bitch fit. And he was like, well, my documents are in there. I've got all of my documents, my proof, my documents. And there was not one document in that entire video. Images with you doing a voiceover over top of it are not documents. That is not proof.
You should have linked to bibliography.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm still angry.
Is this like, okay, you remember on Twitter there was this guy that was like talking about logos or something, and it was all capital letters, and he's like, you better read up on me. I don't think you're ready for me.
Oh,
Was he on the show?
That's numerology. Those are the guys that think that certain words add up to 33 because that's apparently a number in the Illuminati, and they're just bizarre. Like,
clearly.
I mean, the thing is, though, the words that they find that come up to 33 are words that have nothing to, like, one of them's Hanson. There was like some other band, the Beatles or something, did 33. But yeah, it's just bizarre. But anyways, speaking of bizarre, let's get into tonight's This Week in Newsdom. Oh, but first, how rude of me. Let's say hello to Ben. How's it going, Ben?
Doing great.
Ben
Hi,
is
Ben.
our resident crystal expert. He fully believes in the power of healing crystals.
I'm certified.
And so he's going to take us through why
Certified in
crystals
quack.
can
To prepare for the show, I have a special guru garb to help with my chakra focusing.
wow,
So
this just got real.
Here, I'm going to rub my amethyst on my forehead.
This is bizarre. I don't have
that'll
any herbs.
help. That'll help. Get some
I
rocks.
don't have any rocks.
Get some mezcal.
I have a stuffed, a goat beanie baby. Will that work?
Oh, rub that on your head
You know
real
what?
quick.
Yeah, rub it on your head. Trust me, I'm certified. It works.
Awesome. Okay, let's start out with story. Oh, by the way, we're going to end This Week in Newsdom with a gem. Like, I cannot wait for you guys to see what the last story is. But
I saw one in there that I actually wrote about.
let's begin with this one. A blind man is suing Playboy, the website, for not being friendly to visually impaired individuals. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for making, everything accessible to everyone. However, this I think is a little extreme. But it says a blind man says that he wants to read Playboy for the articles, but can't. Now, number one, that's a lie. Let's just be real. No one reads Playboy for the articles. I didn't even know it had articles until I was older, and it got pointed out. Hey, did you read? I think it was a John McCain interview, and I was like, John McCain interview in Playboy, and they're like, yeah, it's in it was one of the articles. They have articles in Playboy? No. Katie, don't act
I never
like you
liked
know what we're talking
No,
about.
I just never liked Playboy. It wasn't enough. Like, if you're going to have some porn, like, show me more.
Too soft for you, huh?
It's too soft.
Okay.
It's just a little
Give me
old
some
for me.
Penthouse.
I'm pretty
Or
young, so
Hustler.
I haven't ever had printed out magazine porn before. That's
Well, you
Oh.
don't need it. Like nowadays, it's
all
amazing.
online.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that it's even still a thing. But of course, they did take porn out of Playboy. Like they don't do nudity in Playboy anymore. It's just a like a regular magazine now. But with nowadays, if you come out with well, I take that back because I was actually talking to a guy. I'm trying to get him to come on the show, but he is the largest distributor of porn to prisons, and he's based out of Texas. But that's
Prison porn.
that's a hopping business apparently. The porn.
wait, is it prison porn or porn for prisons?
Oh, they're two completely different things. Yes.
Yes.
This is the porn that is going into the prison, not the porn that is happening whilst in the prison.
There's some pretty ripped guys in prison. I would not mind seeing them naked.
I was there for a year. I saw none of the ripped type that you're talking about. So yeah. But on Wednesday, Donald Nixon, who is legally blind, filed a lawsuit against the legendary company's website, claiming that it was a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Okay. So it says that both Playboy.com and PlayboyShop.com are allegedly not compatible with Nixon's screen reading software, which allows blind or visually impaired users to read the text or with a speech synthesizer or braille display. So apparently there's a type of software that for people who are blind, you can go to websites and it will read, those articles to you.
Yep.
This is a tough one because if that's the case, number one, I don't know why Playboy doesn't make it where the articles that they have are able to be used with this particular type of software. But then two, is it a right? Is it something that you can sue over? It is with the Americans with Disabilities Act, because that's an act to help people who, like, if you go to a restaurant and the stall doors aren't wide enough.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Companies should be companies, especially digital media companies, should be complying with ADA guidelines and making their websites viewable for visually impaired. I don't know if it's a mandate, but I know most do.
Mm-hmm. I think this is something that he would probably have an easy time winning if it was a news, like a news source.
Yeah.
Because everybody should have access to the news. I just don't know how covered you are under like things like this, like a porn site or something that's associated with pornography. If you can use the Americans with Disabilities Act to cover that. I don't know. It's an interesting lawsuit, though, nonetheless. What do you think, Ben?
I think I don't know. I don't really think he has much legal ground to stand on based off the fact that it's a website that, sure, it's incompatible with his like text-to-speech software, but I really don't think that he needs to see Playboy for his like news material, you know?
Right, yeah. Do you think he could rub a crystal on his screen and make it work?
I could.
I think better yet, he could probably crystal in his ear.
Oh, even better.
And that would fix the issue.
There we go. What do you guys think in the live chat? Let me know. Do you think he has a... Press 1 if you think that he has a case. Press 2 if you think that there's no chance in hell he'll get that. Okay.
I feel like I'd need a lawyer's opinion.
Yeah. Well, you know, I play one on the internet, so you can just ask me.
But you're not always right.
Oh, sorry. Well, Katie, we're getting some interference with your microphone. I'm gonna have to drop you from. I'm sorry.
Just cut the feed. Cut the feed.
Okay. Next story.
You're always right.
Now this is a good one. A DC clerk stalls a marriage over foreign New Mexico ID card.
Uh-huh.
Let's just take a second to really let that sink in. Foreign New Mexico.
He thought it was a foreign country.
Okay, so here we go. A District of Columbia clerk and a supervisor refused to accept a New Mexico's man's state driver's license as he sought a marriage license because she and her supervisor believed New Mexico was a foreign country. Gavin Clarkson told the Las Cruces Sun News it happened on November 20th at the D.C. court's marriage because he tried to apply for a marriage license. After approaching the clerk for a license and showing his New Mexico ID, Clarkson said the clerk told him he needed an international passport to get the marriage license. How are these people?
Oh my gosh, how old is he?
In government, how are these people the ones charged with issuing any type of license? Any type of license. At the minimum, you should know what states are actual states and which ones are not states. Does he think that people who say they're from New England are actually from England?
Oh my gosh. Are the New England Patriots from another country?
Foreign. They're British. Yeah.
No,
I knew
it's not
it.
football, it's football. It's the soccer players. That's
Football. It's rugby.
And at halftime, they're setting up tables and having tea time.
Yes.
It's tea time.
They're having scones.
Oh man. Okay, so it said that the clerk finally concluded that Clarkson said he protested the supervisor who also told him he needed a foreign passport. The clerk finally concluded that New Mexico was a state after Clarkson objected 3 times. She thought New Mexico was a foreign country. All the couples behind us waiting in line were laughing. In a statement, the D.C. court system acknowledged the staff error to the Sun News. We understand that a clerk in our marriage bureau made a mistake regarding New Mexico's 106-year history as a state. We very much regret the error and the slight delay it caused a New Mexico resident in applying for a license.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's the state of things. And
how old was this person? Is this person a millennial?
That's him right there.
Oh, he's old.
Yeah. Old enough to know that New Mexico is a state.
Does he not know the 50 Nifty United States song?
I don't know. He needs a refreshing course, though.
All you have to do is teach him that song, and you'll know every state in the United States.
Yeah, you're right, Smitty. You should have to graduate middle school and know the states. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And like Katie said, you learn the song.
Yeah.
It's like Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Indiana,
California, Colorado, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And it goes New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota.
Right. Oh man. Okay. All right. Here's an even greater.
I wrote about this.
You did. We were talking about this before the show tonight. But all right, people, wrap your head around this one. Let me get my notes put up here. Okay. A mom accuses a Southwest airline employee of publicly mocking her 5-year-old's name. Tracy
Yeah,
Redford
I
said
mean,
she was
horrible.
boarding a Southwest Airlines flight home to El Paso, Texas, with her 5-year-old daughter when she overheard an airline employee mocking her little girl's name. Absidy is her name. Now, at first, if you're hearing this, if you're not looking at the screen and you can see where the name is put on that ticket, it doesn't seem too out of the ordinary. Yes, it's an odd name, but Absidy, it's a new age type of name. However, did you know that Absidy in this case is spelled ABCDE?
Yep.
Now,
This is amazing.
go ahead. What you want to say?
Well, I was going to say the mom clearly picks this name because she wasn't, I don't know, given enough love as a child. And she needed to have her daughter have a name that would like get her some attention.
It says
And
that, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Tell the story.
The incident occurred at John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California. The Redfords were pre-boarding, as they usually do, because Absidy is epileptic, when the Southwestern Airlines gate agent started laughing and pointing at the child, making fun of her unique name to fellow airline employees. I turned around and said, "Hey, if I can hear you, my daughter can hear you, so I'd appreciate it if you would just stop." Redford told ABC7. Redford said her daughter was within earshot and asked, "Mommy, why is she laughing at my name?" I said, honey, everybody's just not as nice as you and I, and it's unfortunate. What Redford didn't find... Now, okay, let me stop here. Up until this point, I think some people just need to have thicker skin. If you ask me,
Yeah.
if you ask me,
Yeah.
this is a situation where you named your child something that's out of the ordinary, so naturally
And stupid.
people are going to say things about it. Like you should
Yes.
just grow up and have tougher skin and accept that fact that that's going to happen.
See,
Now,
in my blog, I said that by naming her daughter this name, that was her first parenting mistake.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. She may have thought it was cute or whatever, but that's probably going to bother her daughter for a long time. Going through school and all that, she's going to get picked on for that.
Right. And if you name your kid A, B, C, D, E, come on, you're inviting bullying. You're going to be mocked. Your daughter's going to be laughed at. Doesn't matter what it sounds like or what you call her. It's how it's spelled.
Yeah. And you should make fun of the mom, the mom, not the girl. Like, don't make.
Don't make.
Oh,
yeah. I never made fun of. Even in my article, I didn't make fun of the girl. The girl can't choose it. I suggest when the girl turns 18, she legally changes her name.
Oh, I agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
But now here's where the story takes a turn, and where I think that the airline is liable for something, because this was a stupid move on this flight attendant's part, and it's hard for me to believe somebody would do this, especially to a little girl. But what Redford didn't find out until later, though, is that the unidentified employee also took a picture of the girl's boarding pass and posted it on Facebook to take her name-shaming public. Another social media user alerted the mom to the post after reporting it to Southwestern Airlines. They used a formal complaint, and it's now under investigation. That's where I think it's not okay. Like, you cannot... That's got, that could have personal information on it.
Yeah.
It's got the...
That's completely inappropriate, totally unprofessional.
Yeah, that's where they dropped the ball in my opinion. But you know what the biggest tragedy out of all of this was?
That the child's name is A, B, C, D, E.
No.
Yeah, bad.
That meanwhile, Fukushima is just sad he didn't get to go on the trip. And his name, of course, is spelled Fghijk.
Oh my gosh. One of my good friends, she is the best. She's super snarky and she has the driest sense of humor ever. And she was like, my next child's name is IDA GF.
Oh, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
you
but
should.
I like
it's and I decided that would be pronounced Igor.
I just this is a story. Okay, that's
So the biggest, I will say that the biggest amount of feedback I got from my readers about that was that the mother didn't have to have this story go public, because I'm not even sure how many people actually saw her daughter's thing on social media. It was the mom who had an attention issue that needed to name her kid this crappy name, who needed to bring this to the news to get more attention.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, come on, it's you named your kid a stupid name.
Yeah. Okay, the next story is a mom says that her 6-year-old son is transgender. Dad disagrees. Now he might lose his son. Now, this is a extremely difficult story, and I put it in here so that we could briefly talk about it, but I'd like to maybe next week go into it a lot deeper, because this is something that I think it has a lot of layers to it, but I wanted to get, you guys' thoughts on it initially, and I'll just briefly tell you what the story is. A Texas father is fighting for his son in court after pushing back on his ex-wife's claim that their 6-year-old is a transgender girl. According to court documents, the young boy only dresses as a girl when he's with his mother, who has enrolled him in first grade as a female named Luna. The father, however, contends that his son consistently chooses to wear boys' clothes, violently refuses to wear girls' clothes at my home, and identifies as a boy when I'm with him. The Federalist reports that the mother has accused the father of child abuse in their divorce proceedings for not affirming James is transgender, and is looking to strip the dad of his parental rights. Okay, so in all that, I don't think that at 6 you really have a grasp on, or you can have a grasp on something as complex as that, and it not be something that as you get older you change your mind about. 6 is a really young age to be, saying that you are supposed to be a woman. Now, once you get, up in your teens and you've hit puberty and all that, and it's, you're maturing in that angle, absolutely. I think you should totally have, be who you are. But at 6, to me, when I read this, it sounds like the mom's pushing it. What do you guys think?
Okay, I will share a personal story. We have a friend, a family friend, who has has born a little boy, same age as my son. And a couple years ago, we got a letter in the mail that basically said that their son decided they were a daughter, and they were going to let the child be a girl. And the child said that it had a different name and all of that. And I've read, and they were both accepting of it, with the caveat that if this child changes their mind, that's totally fine, but this is what their child wants right now, and they're okay with it. And I feel like I've read studies that have said that individuals know at a very young age when they are transgender. I just don't know how early they know.
Well, to me, if they could agree, if the parents could agree that the child wanted to dress up like a girl, wanted to be a girl, and that was something, then I'm all for them entertaining that, if that's what the child wants. But in this case, it seems like the child is dressing up one way to appease the mother, and then when it's with the father, it's a different way. So to me, this sounds more like this is a means for some type of revenge against the father. It's a way to drive a wedge there, because it's a hot button issue now, and it just seems to me like it's not cut and dry like the kid really wants.
Did the child say that they were a girl?
It doesn't say. Let me see if I'm trying to see if they had a conversation with the boy. When I read another article, it didn't say anything about what the child thinks, and I don't know if that's because they can't, get to the child to ask a.
It's probably privacy laws regarding
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, if this is the case, if that is the mother doing this or pushing this on the child, then she
Right.
should lose custody of her kid, and it should go to
Well,
the father.
Yeah, if she's the one that's pushing this and doing this and using it as a way to do parental alienation, that's horrible.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't speak to what age kids know, if they. To me, it seems like you would need to hit puberty and get to that place in life where you're what I mean, like you're mature and you're developing into your where you can. I don't know how to word it. I'm horrible at this.
My cousin just came out as a boy 4 years ago, and he was 14. And last week, he just had his social security number, and he got his legal name changed, and he's 18 now. And his parents were supportive of it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he was but I feel like I don't think he even really understood it until he was in puberty.
Yeah, I'm all for people being who they are. I fully support people in the in the trans movement, and I think it's something that needs to be not as it doesn't need that stigma that's attached to it. I think that there are people who are that they just aren't themselves when they're born in the body that they're born in, and I'm all about them finding and getting to a place where they're content and happy in life. I don't know if that can happen at 6 years old. I think you've still got a lot more growing up and life experiences, and your mind will change. I know mine from yesterday has changed 19 times. From 6, I'm a completely different person. So I think you should, I don't know.
Right.
It could.
I mean, my son likes dinosaurs right now, so maybe he
Yeah.
thinks he's a dinosaur, and then next week maybe it's Thomas the Train. Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, I think
But
it's
yeah,
tough for you. I'm going to find out.
That is tough.
I'm going to find out this week about. Let's see if we can't dive into it a little bit more. But yeah, I sympathize with the mother if that's the case. If he really does, want to do that, and I fully support his right to absolutely do that. Now we're going to end this week in newsdom with something fantastic. Okay. We on this show we have talked about the lady that married a ghost, had sex with a ghost in an airplane.
Yes.
She's part of the Mile High Club because of a ghost. However, this next story blows that out of the water.
Oh no.
A woman who is engaged to a chandelier gets a tattoo of her partner on her arm. A woman who is engaged to a 91-year-old chandelier has just recently put a image of that chandelier in the form of a tattoo on her arm. Amanda Liberty, who is 34, from Leeds, had her tattoo designed by tattoo fixers. It identifying as Objectum sexual. Okay, so this is a new branch of you got bisexual, pansexual. We now have Objectum sexual.
Yeah, but it's not super new because Discovery had a whole series about these people. Like one person was in love with his car.
It's new to me. Yeah. It's new to me. This is the first I'm hearing of people.
It's a thing, Kyle.
Yeah, he was in love with his car and he had sex with his car.
It's not a thing. That's not real.
It's a thing.
That's all
No,
for
it's
show.
real.
No, people don't fall in love with objects. Sorry. People are dumb, but they're not that dumb. I don't believe it. I do not believe it.
They are so dumb.
People are very dumb.
You spend your life on YouTube and I spend my life writing. We know people are dumb.
I know that they're dumb, but they're not dumb enough to fall in love with a chandelier.
Yes, they are.
Let me listen to this. She identifies as Objectum sexual. She's currently engaged to the chandelier she calls Lumineer, which I must say is quite the name for a chandelier. And it said she said it was love at first light after spotting the light on eBay. The chandelier was originally born in Germany. I hate how they are referring to the chandelier in this article like it's an actual fucking person born in Germany 91 years ago.
Lumineer.
But hey, ladies, he's 26 inches wide.
No.
Ouch.
Oh no.
Miss Liberty fell in love with a drum kit at the age of 14 and has since gone on to love the iconic Statue of Liberty, even changing her surname by deed to Liberty. What in the fuck is wrong with humanity and society? What is wrong with it? Do you know what would happen to you if 300 years ago? If 300 years ago, do you know what would happen if you went up to somebody and said, "I am in love with that chandelier. I'm going to have sex with that chandelier"?
I am in love with this rock.
Ugh.
Well, let me just put my guru gear on and give you my informed certified opinion. It's clear that the crystalline nature of the chandelier is just the electromagnetic waves are just vibing properly with her. You can take that however you want.
Yes.
Okay, so this gets worse. Okay, we're almost done, but this
It
gets
makes
worse.
your vagina tingly.
Should I keep this on then?
As soon as I saw Lumineer on eBay, I knew immediately that she was the one for me, and it was love at first sight. So this chandelier identifies as a woman. Now, did you ever think in history you would hear someone say that out loud? I never thought that I would ever say a sentence. This chandelier identifies as a woman. Okay, so she was based in Germany. I knew it would be tricky to get her home, but I had to make it happen. I couldn't stop thinking about her and how beautiful she was. She has such a beautiful shape, and I could feel so much energy coming from her. After buying the chandelier, I patiently waited for her to be imported into the UK until she was finally in my arms. She has been disassembled for her own safety, but once I put all the pieces together and she was settled into her new home, our relationship went from strength to strength.
Oh.
I hope to some point have a committed ceremony. I've never been engaged before. This is new and exciting.
Oh.
She said that she prefers nights spent cuddled up to Lumineer with then happily tucks her in bed with her.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
This is
someone that has some attachment issues.
She looks like somebody.
Yeah,
if I had to pick somebody that would be engaged to a chandelier, I must say she looks like she would be engaged to a chandelier.
Yeah, she just doesn't look like she cares about herself that much.
Here's my thing. People out there, please, get a hobby.
Yes.
Go do something with other humans.
Like
don't
collecting
have
rocks?
sex with Crystal.
Yes, do something with other humans. Join a club. Join a book club. I would even suggest you to go to church. Join a church.
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, no. Listen.
No. She needs a dildo.
If I could, I would much rather them go to church and meet with people and go off and do whatever Christians do than to get to the point where you look at you can't go to Lowe's in the light section without getting so horny that you have to just be taken out. I mean, that's a problem.
Oh my gosh, she'll be like the lady at Walmart that used your dildos.
Why, hello there.
Okay. That's enough of that. All of that jazz. Let's close
people,
this
you need to
out.
stop. I think she really just needs
Uh-oh.
a good vibrator.
There you go. Probably.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
Katie, can you tell us what's been going on or actually, one of you give us tell us your history with crystals. Katie, let's get that out of the way first while I bring up
Mine?
his presentation. Yeah, and then we'll let Ben take it away.
Okay. So if you guys aren't familiar with this about me, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret. I was big into rocks, and I went through a period of time where I slept with a rose quartz on my chest and in my bed. I also used an amethyst for warm energy, an amber for healing,
Don't got one of those.
and quartz for meditating.
So you
That's it.
You used to sleep with this, correct?
I did. I slept with this one right after I broke up with my loser ex-boyfriend.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to put this up here so that when we're ready for it, we can just jump straight into it. Okay.
I don't need rose quartz anymore because I have a heathen that sleeps in bed with me every night.
Wow. Okay, so I'm curious, Ben, why do people like Katie fall for things like sleeping with rocks?
Well, so I'm gonna explain my own background a little bit before I answer that question, because I actually, the garb might discuss, it might deceive you, but I'm actually not a believer in this. I never was. I did this because I was shocked that people did believe in this. I have right here, I just graduated in May. I have right here my fancy 4-year diploma in ceramic engineering. Shout out to all my homies watching, hopefully. Hans, you can turn it off. And then,
what is a ceramic engineer? Let me just ask that first.
Yeah, okay. So ceramic engineering is, if you ever liked any technology involving computers or windshields for your cars or toilets, matter of fact, that's all due to ceramic engineering. It's a subset of material science that deals with anything inorganic that's also non-metallic. So pretty much most of the periodic table when you smush things together. Also, just as a preface, I can go as deep into this or as low into this as you want. This is my very first ceramic engineering book, and it is my favorite because of its title, The Magic of Ceramics.
Wow.
But I also have right next to me my graduate course textbook on crystal anisotropy. So we can go as deep as you want, Kyle.
So you have a degree in this?
Yes. I can tell you about, and I plan to tell you about piezoelectricity. I can tell you about how solar panels are manufactured, the photovoltaics, and how they are constructed. I know.
Oh, not crystals.
No, I know a lot about crystals because I've also taken a lot of geology courses. Well, like 2 geology courses. But right in front of me, you've probably seen me looking down a lot. I have my rock collection, or parts of it, to show off. I have a lot of really nice big things to show off at some point or another. This is a thunder egg. I have the other half of it in my case up there, but it's a very nice example of a geode that's just really pretty. So, like, I'm still a believer in buying rocks.
I love the ones, I couldn't see it, but is it one of those that has like the whole like sort of circle?
Yeah, so that's an agate slice, and I don't have one on hand.
He just said that he has. He just said that he has several big things to show off. That's actually what got my attention in the email that he sent. That was in the subject line.
Yeah.
I have big things that I want to show off.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got out.
Yeah.
By the smoking nun, thinking that was something behind me.
Yeah, I have a 4-year degree in the actual science of how crystals are. I like to call it domesticating rocks, because we take the rocks, the chemical composition, and then we grind them up, process them, and turn them into something better. We domesticate rocks. That's my major. And then I have this, which I got over the course of 2 hours on a drunken weekend.
Ben, we believe that we believe that you are expertise enough to talk about these rocks. I promise you.
I love your hat too. Your hat and like lends to the street cred.
Thank you. This is the real deal. This is my Crystal Reiki Mastery certification.
Oh, you're a Reiki.
What's a Reiki?
Yes. So
they're like the energy woo healers.
Yes. If you've ever heard of crystal healing, it's the tangential science behind what that is. Reiki is the universal energy force that flows through it. It's chakras. It's the force. It's the chaos emerald.
It's garbage.
And that's where I want to. That's where I want to start. I want to start with what exactly the claims that are made by people who think that crystals heal.
So rose quartz
and why
was supposed to heal a broken heart and help with anxiety and stress.
Yes. So if you go to any sort of New Age kind of practitioner, they will have probably belief in astrology, numerology, not the 333 kind, but like other important numbers probably, or like constellations or Nibiru or all this other garbage that is just very non-scientific. They will probably also have some connection to crystals because it's very pervasive in that sort of thing. One of the things that I was learning in my crystal Reiki certification is that there is essentially no hard and fast rules to crystal Reiki healing. You could probably throw a rock at someone and it will heal them because you will it as such. There's pretty much, the reason why it's so appealing, I think, is because it appeals to color psychology because, you know, you have some really pretty things like this green crystalline malachite versus this blue crystalline azurite versus this nice pink cobaltian calcite. And
ooh, that's pretty.
People just, yes, I have some good shit. People just eat this shit up because it's very pretty, and people think that it's the naturalism fallacy, so people think that
it's
you know,
natural.
Yes, and I can guarantee that pretty much everything I have in my collection, except for like 3 things, that grew in the ground. They were naturally formed by naturalistic mechanisms, and people just seem to associate that with having a greater energy to heal. These things don't make sense.
So they would always.
They make sense to people who believe them.
When I was really into it,
yes,
I was told that the energy in the crystal can transfer to you.
And you believed it?
I did!
Oh my gosh.
So
I would like place it on my heart and meditate.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
So
I know, I'm sorry. This was before I had Adderall.
Oh, yeah. So I already read in the description here, and I don't know if it was Katie, if you typed that up, but it was pretty nice with regards to the summary of like.
I pulled it from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that pretty much summarizes it pretty well because there's a placebo effect that happens because you could be holding that there rose quartz or this here thunder egg or, you know, this hunk of literal coal, which I have.
Right.
And you
were naughty for Christmas one year, weren't you, Ben?
Right.
No, actually I wanted
So when I got this quartz, I got this in Asheville, North Carolina. I was with my friend at this rock store, and the woman was like, just hold the rock. And if it gets warm in your hands, that needs to go home with you.
So my boyfriend.
And I was coming out of a really bad breakup, you guys.
There's no excuse.
And I believed it.
You get no sympathy points for that. None.
My
okay, you were a
boyfriend
former
also-
Christian, okay?
Yeah, but we believe
Not
something.
all the cards, no.
Well, okay.
You believe the Holy Spirit and like
touche.
embodied your whole body.
Sorry, Ben. Go ahead with your. I would like to know what some of these rocks do.
Okay, so if you want to know about actual property, so one of the most common claims that happens is that, follow me just here, let me put on my headband so that I can understand it myself, and also let me blitz my chakras real quick.
No, well played. Well played.
All right, chakras blitz.
He's
All right,
fun.
so there are people who think that we are constructed of electromagnetic energy.
Yes.
This is not necessarily the case. We are constructed of matter, and we're not waves. So I really don't understand where they're coming from to begin with. But they have this understanding that when you hold something like this barite desert rose, it is attuned to you in such a way that it will resonate with you. That is a very common, like the frequencies align and direct
Oh, and
energy.
like amber,
Yeah.
if you hold it, it's supposed to like heal you.
Amber is the color of
Like-
your energy. Oh.
Yeah, and it's supposed to like, help with your illnesses. That's
This
why
is
all
the
those
dumbest
people wear
shit.
I know. I can't even believe I believed this.
So there is some science to suggest that, because here's the thing, we use these materials, like, and I'll get into this a little bit later. And you know what, this is probably a good jumping point. So this is the quartz crystal point. It's a nice trigonal mineral. It's got some wonderful properties. It's very, very abundant. It makes up like, I think 70% of the Earth's crust or something. Silica does rather. And it's great. It's prevalent, and it's become the poster child of crystal healing because it's so common, it's so cheap, and they can upsell it for so much. It's getting a little bit tangential to the issue, but if you want to know about a property that quartz actually possesses, it's piezoelectricity. And you'll see that word float around a lot on crystal healing sites because it's a real science word. And the real science word comes from the, I think, Greek for compression and, of course, electricity. So what piezoelectricity is a relationship between mechanical stress and a polarization which produces a voltage. So now, if we actually pay attention to the presentation that I sent you, a way to understand this, good going, Kyle. No, move it a little bit to the left, get that third eye chakra growing. Perfect, there you go. So on screen right now is an example of a Heckman diagram. And a Heckman diagram is a graphical representation of how you can interrelate these structural properties. So I can't super read it well myself because the presentation has low resolution, but real quick, there I go. There I can read it. So here we have two examples of a Heckman diagram. One that has electric field, stress, and temperature. And then we have another that's kind of represented as a tetrahedron. So you have to kind of imagine that there's another line in the back there. So it's a little bit hard to see. But if you go to the next slide, Kyle, you'll see what these graphical representations are meant to convey. Next slide. Oh wait, no shit. That's just, yeah. No. Previous slide.
Oh.
The chart. So the input-output chart. There we go. Input-output chart. So the chart has your gazintas and your gazoutas. When you have some type of input energy, like electrical or mechanical or thermal or chemical or optical, etc., you can get resultant outputs, and those resultant outputs can be best represented or can be represented through a Heckman diagram. And a Heckman diagram, one of my favorites is the next slide. Yeah, this one. So this one is probably my favorite Heckman diagram. It's the one I'm most familiar with from my graduate course. Dr. Huebner, shout out to him. Yeah, so this is a really, really pretty chart that shows not only what type of like general structure property you're dealing with regards to like if it's electric versus mechanical versus temperature dependent, but it also has the specific, I'm gonna forget, it's got the specific features with, in parentheses, their tensor rank beneath them. So there's mathematical representations that you can determine exactly what you're going to gazouta from your gazintas. But it also shows the lines that show where, what relationship specifically. So,
oh, how can you take this seriously if you're actually like learning this? I never learned this part.
Is that a scientific word?
Well, okay.
Gazintas and gazoutas?
Gazintas and gazoutas? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you want to get into something a little bit more woo, go to the next slide real quick. So
I'm familiar with that.
Referred to as, yes, Katie. So maybe you know a little bit about this, but this is called Metatron's cube. And it's if you take some circles and put more circles around that circle, and you put circles out of those circles, and then you connect all the dots and the lines, and it kind of looks like a cube if you look at it isometrically. It means fucking nothing. But
right.
Yeah, this means something to some people sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
And so because I'm a certified crystal Reiki master, I decided that I needed to do some sort of contribution to the science as like a doctoral thesis. So after this presentation, you can refer to me as Dr. Reiki, I guess. But if you go to the next slide, Kyle, you'll see...
Yes, Dr. Reiki.
Thank you. So first of all, this is an actual ball and stick model is what we call it, representation of calcium fluoride, which is fluorite, a very common mineral that has some really pretty shapes that you can often get to it. This one is one of my favorite samples.
That's what they put in toothpaste?
Yes, actually, fluoride. So we can grind up the calcium fluoride and get out the fluorides from it and put it in the toothpaste. That's a real science thing you can do. But this is the comparison that some people who believe this try to make. It's like, oh, it's a representation of a cubic crystal structure. And so in order to develop like a new kind of science to all of this, I decided to, on the next slide, compare this to my favorite Heckman diagram. And you can see there's some similarities. So the next slide will show exactly what I've come up with. And that's, just kind of superimposing them on top of one another. And this, would make sense to somebody who believes in crystal healing, probably.
That's a what the heck man diagram.
Yeah.
I like it, Kyle. I like it. But I went a step further. I went a step further on the next slide, and this is really what's going to make me Dr. Reiki.
That's actually very funny.
Thank you.
That's actually very funny.
I'll be here today.
That's good. That was good, Ben.
Let's get back to the actual science of things, because this thing's hot. Actually, it's black fabric, so I'm not gonna.
You guys, I almost did a Reiki healing a couple years ago.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's get on to the actual science. The next slide will show. This is a rotated version of that same Heckman diagram. So this is highlighting specifically piezoelectricity. You'll notice that you have electricity up in one corner, it's reversed on the camera, and mechanical energy on the other. So you have lines drawn in between your electric field, your electric polarization, your mechanical stress, and your mechanical strain. So these are engineering terms that I'm throwing out that we can get into some more detail for, but essentially, to describe it very simply, if you have a crystal and you put a mechanical stress onto it, it will, on the atomic level, generate some voltage. And that's due to essentially the actual structure of the material. If we go into the next slide, I think we have so this is another representation of that. Essentially, we're looking at either a mechanical input to get an electrical output, or on the converse, because it works both ways. You can apply electricity to a crystal and get a mechanical change to it, an oscillation. So you can have an electrical input and then get a mechanical output. And this is the direct and converse piezoelectric effect. And then on the next slide, we have a engineered material. This is lead zirconate titanate, PZT, one of my favorite materials. This is a perovskite structure, it's referred to as, and it has a temperature-dependent change in crystal structure. So these are the same material, but representing different temperature states for it. So you can have barium titanate, PZT. Barium titanate is another piezoelectric engineered ceramic, but PZT in this instance as a cubic structure, and then heat it up or cool it down. I can't actually remember from the phase diagram. Get it to an orthorhombic state. In the cubic state, because you can see that little red atom in the center there, the titanium or the zirconium atom there, it's stable. It's right in the center. It's not going anywhere. But if you go into the next slide, you'll see I've highlighted that on the orthorhombic structure, you actually can have an instability in the lattice structure. That instability is what produces the potential for piezoelectricity. Because of this lack of symmetry, if you were to squish the crystal, you could get that atom to move, and that move is a polarization. And that polarization changes the polarity, so you have your pluses up here relative to a null, or you have your plus down here relative to a null. And that makes a plus minus, and if you switch those plus minuses, you can get electricity.
So there's I have a question for you that's kind of related. It's kind of off topic, but kind of not. When you talk about the poles shifting, what's causing that in our to our planet now, and is that something that people should be concerned about? If because they say the poles are going to shift soon.
So the pole shift is a magnetic pole shift, and that's based off of the rotating solid iron nickel core that we have in our planet. I'm pretty sure that that's just a result of the actual ball flipping. I'm not entirely sure about the actual science behind that, but this does not actually relate to that. Electric and magnetic fields are related, of course, but this is specifically generating just a simple DC voltage. But this also works in reverse. So like I said about the converse effect, if you go on to the next slide, you'll see that we'll return once again to quartz, our beautiful, ideal crystal healing thing. So this is the actual science of crystal oscillators is manifested perfectly in a watch. Because if you want a timekeeping standard, and there's a reason why it's called a quartz clock, if you apply a constant voltage from a battery to a quartz crystal that's cut in such a way, and you'll see on my presentation, there's a whole bunch of different cuts of quartz that they make, and for a lot of different reasons. We can get into that if you're curious, I guess. But the point is that they cut quartz in such a way that when you apply the electric field to this piece of quartz, cut in this certain way, it will produce a harmonic oscillation. And that oscillation is constant with the applied voltage. It's the converse piezoelectric effect that runs every single quartz clock.
Wow.
So this is a very applicable science. There's some very useful real-world technologies that utilize this. And people who liked crystal healing jumped off of that as a springboard to say that you can produce electricity with this crystal in your hand.
Okay, that
makes sense.
That makes a little bit more sense then, because to me, I'm thinking that somebody just is walking down a path and saw a pretty rock and was like, "Oh, this makes me feel good." Now
that's what they'll probably want you to believe, but it's really not. It's just a bunch of people thinking that science on a microscopic scale can apply to a macroscopic scale.
That makes sense.
And they'll also throw in the word quantum sometimes because why the fuck not?
Yeah, quantum quartz. It makes sense. That sounds like a good watch right there. Quantum quartz.
And if you don't understand enough about pseudoscience, in order for it to sound official, you have to add scientific word salad.
Yes. And that's what this is ultimately.
I thought
Jilly loves scientific word salad.
I was just looking at this
she'll be
picture,
calling it
and I thought that
electric.
said, instead of mainspring, I thought it said manspring, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be a new thing. You got mansplaining, manspreading, and now manspringing.
Man-spreading.
Reading too new.
Did you need the next slide?
I think that's probably the end of my presentation, actually. Oh, no, yeah. So, rose quartz, I'm glad that you actually have that with you right now, because rose quartz, so I talked a little bit about the color psychology and all that, and how there's a difference somehow between this perfectly clear quartz crystal and, where did I put it? This here rose quartz crystal that I have just on hand versus this here amethyst crystal and all that. All of this is silica. This is SiO2. Do not be fooled. It's just a different color. There are different compositions of crystals that exist. I was talking with Katie before the show about how to identify quartz versus apophyllite. That's a shape-based kind of thing. But when it comes to what the actual difference is behind what color you get out of your quartz, you're looking at, in rose quartz specifically, a small amount of iron into the crystal structure. This is on the scale of parts per million. Sometimes even parts per billion will change the color. And the way that happens isn't due to the fact it's better attuned to your heart chakra. It's because of defect chemistry. So there's an entire different spiel that I could talk about with defect chemistry, and that's probably better for another day because I will get way too nerdy. Probably, I probably already have. But,
I used to have a mantra. That's what it was too.
Stop
I had
it,
to have
Katie.
a mantra
Stop
that I
This is going to affect our
said with
relationship.
it.
So
What's
when it
the
comes
mantra?
to
Hold on 1 second, Ben.
I don't remember. It was something like
the mantra is.
It was something like, "You're good enough."
Oh no, I think I do know that. I've seen it floating around. It's like, just for today, I will be good enough.
Yeah,
just for today, I will.
Yeah, like you are enough. You are good enough. Okay, Kyle, I'm 40.
You are good enough.
No.
Yeah.
Say you have the best hair. You have the best hair. That's your mantra, Kyle.
Oh,
He does have the best hair. He has the best clothes
I have the best hair.
But yeah, I don't know. This was 15 years ago, Kyle. I'm a long way away from this.
How does this might be a really dumb question, but when you talk about crystal, that's a really there's a certain type of crystal that is extremely expensive. People want it for like a wedding gift. What differentiates that kind of crystal from the crystal that you're showing off right there?
Believe it or not, that's not actually crystal. So there is a definition of what is crystal ware, if you want to call it, that is not what you would see in terms of a crystal, like material science view. Crystal in a material science view means exactly what you're seeing up here in my presentation. You have a crystal lattice that has long-range order. So this is a repeat unit that has a stoichiometric structure. These defects can exist in there, but for the most part, it will be a uniform crystal. Crystal in that sense is actually glass. It's when you take a silica glass that I think is using lead as a property modifier to make it have a higher, I want to say index of refraction, but I'm not entirely certain.
It's just clear.
Basically, yeah, if you can have that glass with the lead in it, just makes it prettier. So really all it is expensive glass.
Prettier glass.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when I got married, we got a bunch of crystal glasses, and they shattered so much faster.
So,
and they're so expensive.
Here's my next question. What about this is harmful? Let's say someone wants to dive head on into rubbing rocks all over their body. They just want to spend all day in a bed of rocks. When they see a gravel truck, they just get the biggest erection that you've ever. What is harmful about that?
Can I share you like why I was doing it?
Go for it,
please.
And why it was harmful for me is because I have ADHD, anxiety, panic disorder, and OCD. And my whole life, I was always looking for something to help me calm down. I was insomniac. I couldn't sleep. I was doing yoga. I was meditating. I was diffusing oils. I was lighting candles. I was using rocks. Basically anything natural that I could do so that I didn't have to go to the doctor and actually say I have a problem.
Now the yoga and the meditations are good ideas. Those are actually
they were, except it got to a point 2 years ago where I had been doing okay using a lot of these natural remedies to try to manage all of my symptoms, but it got to a point where my life got so out of control I could no longer do it. And this is when I gave up all the woo and I went to the doctor and I said, I can't do this anymore. And she did a test and she's like, you have crazy ADHD.
You should have went with crystal meth. That's Katie. That's the crystal you should have went with. That would have been a good one to change your life, turn it around.
I know.
It'll make you forget really quick. But okay, so Ben, why do you think being involved with crystals? I still can't get that chandelier girl out of my head. The crystal. Why is that harmful?
I'm sorry.
Here's something that I was going to ask about the chandelier thing: is how much did it cost to ship that? Because she did say she bought it off the eBay, right? So
there is no too expensive for love, Ben. Love knows no cost.
And that's why I have such a large rock collection, because I really love it. What can I say?
But why is it harmful?
It's so, and I'm guilty of it myself. Is that personally, I totally understand the way that Katie's coming from it, but I kind of see it more from an economic perspective too, because you can go into a store that is devoted to nothing but selling you rocks. And personally, I don't have any problem with that. I love buying rocks. But they're not selling these rocks to like geologists or mineralogists who like study and collect them, or just, a casual person who likes it. They're specifically saying, oh, you buy this rock and it'll cure your panic attacks, or you buy this rock and you'll feel better or something.
They're selling it as an alternative
cure. Precisely.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, is that there's a growing market, I'm pretty sure it comes from China too, for things that that naturalism fallacy and everything. People make stuff that they claim is just as effective as, it's like goldstone. And this is the reason why I don't have any in my collection, is because goldstone, blue goldstone, that most recently came out with green goldstone, is just a glass. It's a glass that has metal particulates in it that crystallize out or from the glass melt, or I don't know entirely how it's formed, but it's just a glass, the man-made product. And so really what this is a driving force in the market, because they come out with these really pretty things like this here. This is something you'll never find in nature. This is a citrus blossom aura quartz, which is the most ridiculous name I've ever heard of.
So
but
pretty,
these aura quartz, it's stunning, and that's why my boyfriend got this for me, because he thought it was cool. I had to look up and scour long and far and wide, because they also make different things like this titanium aura quartz. And these aura quartzes, this is just a quartz crystal that is chemically altered with a thin film coating of a metal. So,
Or paint.
I'm honestly, yeah, it's shocking the engineering that's put into this kind of bullshit, because this is using chemical vapor deposition, which is a pretty advanced form of like thin film technology, and they're innovating on selling nonsense, because this has no value. This is coated in a thin film of platinum to get that pretty sheen. This is platinum on quartz for nothing other than to look pretty, and the art of
It's
it is
balling,
another conversation.
is what you're saying.
Have,
that rock is balling right now.
It's
It
very
is balling.
balling, but at the same time, people will spend their money on these things. And the fact that somebody could go and say, oh, this citrus blossom aura quartz will unlock your chakras and cure your cancer, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And there's actual market innovation happening. This didn't exist 20 years ago. There's something new that's in the shops that personally I do want to get some of, because again, it's balling. But it's this it's black kyanite, or maybe blue kyanite, that's covered, essentially just dipped in, I'm pretty sure, bismuth. And so it looks really cool, but imagine this sparkly rainbow as shit. Imagine this is the gayest shit possible. And it would be beautiful, and I want some, but it's also something that could be claimed to cure your anxiety disorders.
That blue stone that you showed us earlier, is that the same type of blue that they used to use in Egypt and Samaria? No, it was like a dark.
This one? Oh.
It was like a deep blue.
Oh, the azurite?
Yeah, is that what they used to use in Egypt and Sumeria?
No, actually. So I'm pretty sure what they use. Hold on, I need to organize my drawers. This is the one that Kyle's talking about. This is some really nice, pretty azurite crystals. This is
gorgeous.
A wonderful sample that I just got recently. But I'm pretty sure what that is actually lapis lazuli that you're talking about.
Yes, that's the name.
Azurite, yeah, lapis lazuli, which I'm pretty sure I have some of right here, is another blue rock like that. I also have some nice turquoise. You know what? I'm just going to show you my blue.
Katie, did you know while he's getting that out? Did you know, Katie, that back then that was the only blue that existed in terms of like when they would do paintings or sculptures? They didn't have the color.
Yeah.
They didn't have the color blue for centuries, and that was the only way you could get.
So it came from that
blue.
rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 3 different blue dyes and pigments. There was it's funny you mentioned blue pigments, because I actually did a talk at a conference as a student competition for a brand new blue pigment that they discovered, not through rocks or shit, not through crystal healing, but through ceramic engineering. It's called yin min blue. It's because it's a yttrium indium manganese compound, and it has a a dipyramidal structure. So it's kind of like 2 tetrahedrons stacked on top of one another. And that structure is something that wouldn't exist in nature. They had to engineer this material. And in fact, they weren't even looking for it. They were actually looking for something that had weird electronic or magnetic properties. And so this was at I think it's Washington State University. But yeah, so this new pigment was something that is a non-toxic, chemically inert, brand new blue pigment. There's nothing else like it in nature or that's been developed since this invention. And it wasn't born out of crystal woo. It wasn't born out of this market innovation to make prettier things, because they're pretty much just cannibalizing on the current material science available to make things that are marketable to people who don't know the science or don't know the actual, medicinal uses of rocks, which is nil.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about why I'm against it, it's just because you have people like myself who go into ceramic engineering. It's a very, very niche major, but I mean, it's still a science. You have people who go into that who do these incredible things to create things like these artistic pigments, which the man who invented it, Dr. Mas Subramanian, his wife is a painter and was like, hey, can I use some of this in my pigments? And it's beautiful artwork that she produces as a result. So if you want to talk about where innovation should be funneled from a market perspective, it isn't this. It isn't crystal healing.
Do you know?
Definitely people like there.
Do you know
what I would say? Why?
Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would just say what I would say of why it's harmful is that it actually is a lie, and people like me who are dealing with anxiety, ADHD, insomnia are looking for a way to feel better. And you have people that are telling you, just put this on your heart and meditate and everything will be fine. And I didn't sleep until I got trazodone.
Yeah, it's a sad thing to see people pursue these kinds of, like, these things purported to help them, and they're just lies. It's just to get you to buy it. It's just to get you to buy it.
Trivia question. Do you know what the first blue was called?
No.
No, what was it?
Live chat. Do you know what the first blue was called? And no cheating. Don't Google it.
Blue balls?
How
I
dare
don't
you,
think
Katie?
it's blue balls.
How dare you?
I'm good at giving those.
Nope. I'm gonna give you 30 more seconds. Live chat. Green. Well, okay, technically, green is correct. Technically, but there was an actual when they actually created blue, there was a word for it. But I have thought, yes, you are technically correct. Green is it was categorized under green beforehand.
There is
It
a
was
reason
called
why I have
Blau
green blue. Blau.
because it
Blau?
was created by the Germans. Yes, Blau.
See some
You
nice
have a
green
lot of
shit
rocks.
there.
Wow.
I have so many rocks. So that's peridotite. That's what the mantle is constructed of mostly, on basalt. Next to that we have some malachite, sodalite over there, and azurite blueberry, some nephrite, I think is what it is. We have some
I love rocks.
azurite and malachite. I love rocks too. Like, this shit is awesome. Like, you want to see my favorite rock? You'll love this.
Gold
Kyle,
or
you
diamond?
want to see my favorite rock? No. Well, I do have a Herkimer diamond, but not a real diamond. Diamond's not as uncommon as you'd expect.
Did you
So
Beyonce?
this is my favorite. This is my favorite rock. This is carpelpyrite. But what this is, and this is another woo trick. So this is carpelpyrite. It's a copper iron sulfide. It's got copper, it's got iron, it's got sulfur. This is another rock. This is called bornite. Bornite is also a copper iron sulfide. Let me try and get that sheen for you. Clearly, this bornite is not nearly as colorful as the carpelpyrite. The reason for that is because people who sell crystals will take carpelpyrite, which is a lot more common than bornite, with that tarnish onto it. Because what that is essentially iron will rust into that like coppery brownish color. Bornite and carpelpyrite will rust into that rainbow color, which is awesome. And
So they're gay.
Excellent specimen.
They're gay.
They're super gay, and I love them.
But I'm in a gay sandwich.
You are. Let's high five, Kyle.
Which way are you?
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's this way. There we go. Yeah. Anyway.
It's like my dream.
So what bornite is this tarnish comes naturally based off of its environment, and it's very beautiful, and it goes for, pretty nice price at auction. I actually went and got some of that just recently, like a month ago. But this carpal pyrite, what they do is, because this stuff is usually just like rock. It doesn't really look like much. It might have a little bit of a coppery sheen to it, but what they'll do is they'll put this into a basic solution bath. And that basic solution, just like putting, something into acid, will tarnish the surface of it. And that tarnish is this. They take this primary copper ore that could be used into processing to make real copper for, electronics or wiring or something useful, and they just put it in this little bath to make it more marketable to crystal woo.
So stupid.
So they're smart capitalists.
I love it, but I hate it. Exactly that. They're smart capitalists. You want to know one of my favorite samples? So this is what makes me different from a lot of crystal woo peddlers, is because this rock here, this little yellow dots on a gray rock, this is gold to me, because you know what this is? This is chileamonite. It's a very rare, very uncommon calcium uranium vanadinite mineral. It's from the LaSalle district, from LaSalle County in Utah. It was only $9, and I think that was a steal, because this has approximately 60 bananas worth of radiation coming off of it. So
You're excited about radiation.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yay.
This in my hands, and even if I slept with this on my crown chakra like you did with the rose quartz, every night for the rest of my life would reduce my lifespan by about 5 minutes, probably.
Do you...
Wait, it's not magnetic, it's just radiation?
Yeah, this is producing a small amount from the uranium ore from it, or the uranium that's inside of it. It's producing a small amount of, I'm pretty sure, alpha decay. You double check Steve with that, I'm sure. But yeah, this is radioactive. If I had a Geiger counter, it would say some amount of radiation coming off of it.
Do you have any samples of like meteors or anything from outer space?
Yes. Well, I don't have. Okay, so I don't have a nice like meteor slice that has like the intersecting pattern that I really want that, but that shit goes for really expensive.
Oh, look at how excited he is.
I'm just recently not a poor college student, so yeah, I bought all of this stuff in college like I shouldn't have. But no, what I do have is the result of an extraterrestrial impact. So this is a tektite, and this is a piece of ejected material from a meteor impact. So what happens is a meteor strikes the Earth, the impact causes such heat and pressure that it makes the rock that is underneath it turn to magma, or lava, I don't know, whichever one's at the surface. It makes it melted. And then the material gets ejected out into the air because it still has kinetic energy from that impact, and that will cause teardrop-shaped little things, little lumps of that impact to fall, and this is the result. You have this very beautiful teardrop shape as a result of its trajectory through the air, rippling it into that shape. This is a naturally occurring form of glass.
Now, what impact is that from? Do you know?
I have no idea, but it's funny you ask that, because I do have... Huh?
I feel like if, like, Zorb, he would be, like, the alien that I would hang out with, Zorb.
So, you asked about a specific impact. So, I do have... Sorry. I do have a little card for another tektite that I have. So, this is a very specific type of tektite. This is called a moldavite, and I hope you can see that on screen. This is a slightly translucent, very green type of mineral, and I have a nice little card for it too, moldavite. It's considered a gemstone because people do find large enough chunks of this to cut and polish and put into gems. And so the moldavite is a product of a meteor collision with Earth nearly 15 million years ago. It fell in what is modern-day Czech Republic. Yeah, it's pretty.
You know that you know nowadays, we and I do want to I want to switch gears and talk about one thing too before we close out for the evening, because we're at the almost at the 90-minute mark. But you can actually, and I think this is probably you probably already looked into this since you like rock so much, but when you die, you can actually become a rock.
A diamond.
Yes, and they can
I'm
put you
aware.
in a ring or a necklace or anything like that.
They
Are you
can-
going to become?
Or
Well,
you could
also-
become a tree.
Yeah, you can.
Yep, that's definitely an option. I personally want to be shot into the sun, but I also know that there are people who take their ashes, the cremated ashes, and they turn them into paperweights.
Right.
So this was made by a friend of mine at the Missouri S&T glass shop. Very skilled people there. But this paperweight is just soda lime silicate glass with some, pretty sure that's iron green, nice dark green, but very little of it to make it nice and solid color. Frit in there that you could easily replace with cremated remains.
Is that what you want to do?
No, like I said, I want to get shot into the sun.
Well, that's
I'm
not
gonna hit
going
up
to
my
happen.
man Elon Musk.
That's not going to happen.
I feel like I want to be a
First manned
tree.
mission to the sun.
I'm kidding. So here's what I want to switch gears real quick. By the way, Ben, thank you so much for coming on and imparting your
Yeah, it was a
knowledge
pleasure.
with us. But the thing with North Sentinel Island, I want to touch on that real quick.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
about 10 minutes. So
Go ahead.
for those people who don't know, there's an island called North Sentinel Island. It is in the Bay of Bengal near India. It is under India's authority. They kind of patrol.
Jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they set a perimeter around the island. I believe it's 300 miles.
Nope, it's 5 nautical miles.
5 nautical miles. Okay. This tribe has been untouched by civilization, like other societies. It's still in the the prehistoric, what we consider the prehistoric age. There have been a couple
That's what
contacts.
they say, but it's hard to know.
Well, they don't even. They don't. I was watching something the other day, and they don't even. They were saying they don't even have fire left. Like they monitor the environment around it, looking for things like smoke and the chemical compounds. That
Yeah, they
put in
don't know
the
how
air.
to make fire.
They don't know.
No,
They don't have
they
fire
don't know
yet. So
how to make-
that's prehistoric.
No, well, maybe. There's some parts of them that aren't though, because they've
Maybe
fashioned
vegan.
spears that have metal on them now. They make boats.
Well, and here's the thing with that though, the metal. Did you know that we introduced not we, but there were two fishermen that were
Yes.
they were off the coast of North Sentinel Island, and their anchor gave way. They were drunk and they crashed into
were
the
dead.
shore, so they were killed.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
that boat crashing into North Sentinel Island introduced the Iron Age to
Yep.
the North Sentinelese. They were able to strip the boat and create their bows not their bows, but their tips for their arrows.
National Geographic in the 1970s dropped off some pots and pans for them.
Yeah.
So that's other things that have been provided to them, but they have been completely resistant to any outside communication whatsoever.
Can you imagine that though? Like, it was our fault that they now have an Iron Age, that they're now doing things with iron, where they couldn't do that before. It was all wood and stone in terms of their weapons, their what they probably used to clean animals with.
Well,
to cook.
Anthropologists and even Survival International has said that some of it is probably from shipwrecks, even outside of those two people that have died. So you can't just assume that it was just from those two fishermen who they subsequently killed.
Oh no, I mean, just people outside of their civilization in general are responsible for introducing the Iron Age,
right.
because of things that by chance or by purpose wound up on their island. It wasn't something that they as a society discovered on their own.
Right.
It was it was introduced to them, and the
Just like the ancient alien theory.
yeah, well, it's really strange to think that you have a group of people that don't even have fire yet.
Well, so I did a bunch of research on this, and I actually wrote a couple articles on this. The one that I wrote almost 2 weeks ago, it was about the reason why the Indian government has the 5 nautical mile perimeter of protection is because there are less than probably 200 people left of the Sentinelese on the island. At one point, they estimate that the tribe might have consisted of maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. And with only 200 left, maybe, they've only ever counted about 20. But they can't see into the densely packed forest, which is where they live. They don't have the same pathogens and they don't have the same immunity that you and I do. And so they could easily be killed by influenza or the measles, which has happened in neighboring islands.
Well, there were, I forget what year it was, but somebody came in and got a grandfather and a grandmother and 2 kids.
And 2 children. That was in the 1800s.
Yeah, and the grandmother and grandfather died that night when they were taken, and so they took the kids and dropped them back off.
And the kids, when they were returned, they ended up killing a ton of the people, which people that protect the tribe now speculate that the fact that so many people died following the return of the children has made them even more resistant to outsiders because they realize that there's like pathogens. Even if you look at how they handled the body, they wouldn't touch it. They like made a point of like wrapping things around it so that they didn't have to get near it. Other times people have dropped off pigs like for them to eat, and instead of eating it, they bury it because they don't want to deal with assumingly the germs.
Yeah.
But this tribe has not wanted to deal with contact. I mean, in 2004, when that tsunami went through Asia, the one that like pounded almost all of those countries, they shot arrows at helicopters trying to help them.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, I can't say that I blame them in that instance. Here you have a tribe, they don't even have fire yet. So here's this big metal bird coming down from the sky, and if you don't have if you don't have any way to conjure in your mind that this is piloted by somebody, it's invented by people. All you know is you've grown up in this jungle for all of your life, and you see this big metal thing coming at you in the sky. I can't really fault them for reacting the way that they do. I mean, look at what happens every time people go to a civilization that hasn't seen outsiders before. Look at the Indians. What happened to them? We brought smallpox and measles over here, wiped out half of their population. Anytime people have showed up to a civilization that is either less advanced or maybe doesn't have the same functionality that society has, it's always ended bad for the lesser society. Always.
Correct.
So
correct. And
I don't blame them for the way they react.
No. And there's a couple neighboring islands that have been more open to colonization. And one of them, there's only like 10 people left. That's it. Mm-hmm. Another one of the islands, upon colonization initially, they lost more than 10% of their population. So these people are interested in maintaining who they are. And from what anthropologists can see when they like look at them, they're strong, they're healthy, the men are lean, the women are pregnant, there's children. So there's zero reason for them to even interfere at this point. The only reason that they had got involved in the neighboring island was because when they went there, the islanders looked sick.
Mm-hmm. Here's the question, though. This is the question that I have for both of you. Did the guy that went to the island, should he have known that's what the outcome was going to be?
Yes, he knew it.
Yeah.
He knew. If you've read anything about him, he knew the risks. One of the guys at the dive shop
said he... It was cause and effect.
Right.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a martyr. He had become so above and beyond who he was. He had this grandiose sense of self. He was going to save the last dying or the last tribe of the world. And might I add that there are other tribes in the world that are like as primitive as this group, but there's no other tribe in the world that's as remote because they're on an island. And there's tribes in the Amazon, which several of my readers have pointed out, oh, there's tribes in the Amazon. But the Amazon is people are deforesting it, they're using it for resources. So they can actually physically interact with people. No one's going to interact with the Sentinelese because they have to go there.
Yeah. And my question to him would be, okay, he said he was going to go on this island and express how much Jesus loves them, but he does not know their language. They don't know his language. So here you're going to have a guy, an intruder, arriving on some something that's extremely foreign to them, trying to tell them things that they can't understand. He won't be able to understand them. He knows the amount of the people that have died attempting to go to that island, how they act when outsiders come in. That's what's going to happen. I have a hard time feeling bad for that situation.
I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah.
No, see, Kyle, he had a plan with them, of course, and that was to bring a lot of quartz crystals that would just, ear to mouth translation from the resonant energies, obviously.
No,
Obviously.
he brought a soccer ball. Like, seriously. And he learned African languages, which are completely unconnected to what they speak. The Sentinelese language is so unique. It has zero connection to any other language in the world. There's the neighboring islands that are around it. They don't have any similar language at all or similar words. They had brought over on different occasions islanders from different neighboring islands to see if they could communicate, and they couldn't. And so what I wrote in one of my articles was that these people had no way of knowing that him saying Jesus loves you was anything different than I'm here to take your land.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
And they
they
were standing their ground. They were protecting their community, and he deserved to die. I don't care.
Well, I won't say that. I won't say that. I don't think that people deserve to die. I think he should have had friends that tried to tell him otherwise. Like if I had a friend that was saying, "I'm going to go to North Sentinel Island and preach Jesus," I'd be like, "Don't. It never ends well for anyone."
Well, yes. Did you hear the news from yesterday?
What?
The Indian the Indian police that have been monitoring this and investigating, they've identified 2 American missionaries that actually were in communication with him and helping him facilitate this trip to North Sentinel.
Wait, say that again?
That's like a murder plot waiting to happen right there.
2 American missionaries, a couple, a man and a woman, were communicating with him and encouraging him to go to North Sentinel. They were located in India at the time, and they were helping him.
Yeah, they're guilty as fuck.
Yeah, they identified them yesterday. I wrote an article on that.
That's crazy. Who would do that?
They didn't name the names of the missionaries. They just said that they're 2 Americans from the United States, a man and a woman that are evangelical missionaries, and he had communicated with them and met with them a couple different times. There was multiple phone exchanges between the 2 and him, and they encouraged and assisted in him in getting there.
Well, I say what we do is we round them up and we send them to North Sentinel Island.
Yes.
Yep.
Single file.
You know what? I'm just going to say it out loud. Stop with your stupid missions. Please. Nobody needs to hear about Jesus. Leave these people alone. They don't want to be bothered. Stop going into impoverished countries and pretending like you care and spreading the love of Jesus. Nobody needs that kind of bullshit. It's imperialism, it's colonialism, and it's stupid.
Just do the nice things that you do without the like if you're going to feed the homeless, continue to feed the homeless, but don't make them hear a sermon about a 30-minute sermon before you give them a sandwich. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Ben, do you have any last-minute thoughts before we?
No, not really. I guess because I have a lot more nice rocks up there. If you want to see more about rocks, I don't really have YouTube or anything, but Twitter. So you can follow me there. I'll post a link in the chat. So follow me if you like rocks,
I'll
I guess.
Awesome.
I'll post my 3 different articles that I wrote about the Sentinelese in a comment on the
I'll pin it.
thing. Okay. Along with my Patreon.
Yeah,
I'm always looking for new
Katie,
patrons.
if you type that out for me real quick, so I can just copy and paste it, I'll just put that in the description now.
Okay.
While I've got it pulled up.
I've actually acquired 2 patrons from here.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Good. Yeah, support Katie's work. She does amazing work. If you have not checked out her articles, make sure you do that.
Yeah.
You might want to do an article about what we've got coming up tomorrow on the show, Katie. We have a gentleman named. Well, I don't know if he wants his name to be used, so I'll wait until tomorrow to find that out. But he is a gang stalker. He thinks that that he is being targeted by a certain, and the people that target him are they vary. You know, it can be the government, it can be just random people, but he has quite the story that I think people are going to be interested in hearing, and it's very, very interesting. I think that you guys will be excited to hear about what's going on.
I did write a story for Shannon following her thing about the Christian counselors.
How'd that go? Any backlash?
No, actually, I got a lot of really sad responses, like from this one woman who suffered from like anxiety and depression and was a lesbian, and her parents forced her to go through it, and like it was horrible. She said she needed years of like legitimate therapy following it.
Yeah, I don't know that whole organization. I tried to get them to come on, but they said they weren't interested. This is going to be go ahead, Ben.
If you use demons in any kind of diagnosis or any kind of reasoning for anything, you're so out of touch with like reality and the times that like this.
Yeah.
God.
They have ones about cutting, like how demons are making kids cut. They have ones about, you know, homosexuality, sexual perversion, porn addiction.
Yeah, kind of like that gay demon.
This is gonna be a week of wild people. Like, I'm looking at the schedule. The next day on the 4th, we have the guy that doesn't think that autumn exists. Like the season of autumn is a hoax.
Oh, did you get the Santa Claus people yet?
The Santa Claus people are on the 20th. They're in a couple of weeks, but I'll briefly explain why he thinks that autumn is a hoax. It basically boils down to who needs warm climates all year round. Reptiles. So this is obviously going to go into the reptilian people. But he says, now look at the leaves. What are happening to the leaves? The leaves are reacting like paper would if you were to burn paper. So we, by some means, are in a climate-controlled environment. However, they have something in the food or the water that make us where we can't feel it, and they alter our feeling of warmth, so we feel cold, so that they can continue to exist. And that's what turns the leaves different colors, is the heat that is actually going on that we just cannot feel.
Wait, what? He sounds like he's got some sort of like psychological problem.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, what were you saying, Ben?
It's chlorophyll A and B. They're receptive to different wavelengths of the sun, which are more common in different tilts of...
Yeah.
Look, man.
And I was actually going to say, like, my son doesn't think that autumn is real because we live in Minnesota, and it's technically fall right now, and we have 3 inches of snow on the ground. But to him, he's like, no, it's winter.
And J.R. Poem, they find me. I don't trust me. That's why I say that every morning when I wake up, I'm scared to death to open my inbox because there's something new every day. But then on Thursday we have quite the show, And this guy has already been making waves on Twitter with me. I try in jest to respond to them with, my smart ass comments. But his name is Drew Booth.
Yes, that was him.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you've seen the
He
stuff that
is
he's
a
been tweeting.
jerk.
You've seen the stuff that he's been tweeting, though. I mean, it's
Yes.
it's
He's crazy. He is
bizarre.
I'll have
nuts.
to tune in because I haven't heard him.
And I was responding to him, and he was just like, "You don't get it. Christ is love." And
yeah, it's Thursday's going to be off the chain, everyone. So make sure you we have quite the believer coming on.
Casey actually got into it with him.
He does a lot of mushrooms to tap into his psyche. That's how he gets into.
Would you say he's quite a stoned ape?
Yeah,
He's the one that I was telling you about. He's the one that was like telling you, like, "Are you prepared for me? I don't think you're prepared."
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
Oh,
that's him.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get ready. Thursday's gonna be hopping.
He said, "Do you even know logos?"
Logos. Yeah. I know the McDonald's logos.
Logic?
I know the Arby's logos.
And then he like threw up this diagram, and Casey was like, "That doesn't even make sense."
That's the thing with him, though. He memes you to death. Like everything that he tweets out has a picture with it. Like today, it was the Doors. He was saying something with the Doors, and he said Jesus is returning. Jesus is coming back soon. And I said, I did the little quote thing. Said every Christian since AD 33.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Ben, it was lovely to have you here. I'm glad that you're excited about rocks, and I believe that you're going to be able to use that for more purposes, because it looks like your boyfriend's going to be convincing you to start your own channel. So, yay!
Oh no. Okay.
Get him,
we'll see.
boyfriend.
I would watch your rock shows.
Yeah.
Well, I will say I was pondering putting cataloging my rock collection on Twitter, so maybe I just do that in video form. So like,
It could be like how Sheldon Cooper and Amy have the Fun with Flags
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
You could be like
the
rocking
fun
with
with blue
rocks.
kyanite. Rocking? Can I steal that? I might steal that.
Yeah,
like that,
rocking
yeah.
with rocks.
Or rock hard.
Kyle, I'm not taking that one. I don't want to be sued by the same guy suing Playboy.
Oh, come on. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we will find out why this individual is being targeted and who is behind that targeting. Until then, everybody take care and have a wonderful Monday. Oh, damn. I'm producing tonight. I have to close this out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.